Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Build Your Own Large Language Model workshop. I'm Justin Angel. We have just finished reverse engineering a GPT-2 style model, and then we know our roadmap for the day as a result of that, because we're just going to rebuild that. But for now, we have to go into the most basic unit of all neural networks, which is a perceptrons. So our deliverable from today is going to be a working perceptron. As always, if you want to see the code for these samples, you can go to gojustinangel.ai/code-3 or Excel-3 for the Excel file. Okay, so the first question we're probably going to have is, what's a perceptron? And then let's try and think about it, not in terms of math, but what problems is it trying to solve for us? And the problem is that as we learn the English language, we have to make decisions about which word is the right word to say. We have to store information and then based on that, make decisions. And I really, really love this definition from Rosenblatt 1958, where he asks the following questions. He came up with this concept. How is information about the physical world sensed, detected by the biological system? In what form is information stored or remembered? And how does information continued in storage and memory then influence recognition and behavior? How do you store and how do you influence behavior with that? That's really what a perceptron or a neuron, basic unit of work, does. So a perceptron is the smallest unit of a neural network. ChatGPT is really just 100 billion perceptrons. That is a very, very inaccurate summary, but it's also 51% kind of correct. So I think it's kind of interesting to note this is the basic unit of work. So on the right, we get to see a fun formula. This is going to be our second formula that we've encountered together. But again, you don't have to understand it right away. We're going to really work through it. So f of x equals wx plus b. Or another way of saying that given an input, we have a weight, we multiply that by the input, and we add a bias to that. If we were to implement that in code, we see a perceptron math method right here, and it's called perceptron math, weight times input plus bias. If I do 1 times 2 plus 3, that equals 5, right? So what does the perceptron really do? It holds behavioral information. It does fun linear math. There's to differentiate it from non-linear math that cannot be graphed easily on a linear line. And it can find edges. Really interesting stuff. Okay, so I didn't understand any of this before, or at least fully understand it beyond the math and the code before I saw this Welsh Lab example. What this guy did is he built a physical analog perceptron. And I thought, wow, this is amazing. All of these weights and bias numbers, they're just knobs you get to turn. Isn't that amazing? I just did something really similar then because I love that idea. I'm a bit of a crazy person. I just built my own physical perceptron. That is really fun. So in order to teach us this concept of a working perceptron, I'm going to just show you a video of me playing around with it. I'm going to mute the audio, so if you want to watch it later, you'll have audio. But for now, I'll just narrate it myself. So we just learned about having perceptrons. That's really great. WX plus B. X is the input. W is the weight. WX and then B. So we said, and then we have the output for the perceptron. So W2 times 1 equals 2 plus 1 equals 3. 2 times 1 plus 1 equals 3. Very cool. So if I change the input, I can up it. Looks like I'm going to up it. Oh my God, it's so high. 2 times 2 plus 1, 4 plus 1 equals 5. We just learned about how perceptrons work. So I could bring the input further down. I could bring it down to a negative value. I could bring it down to minus 1 times 2. That's minus 2 plus 1. Total of minus 1. So a perceptron could also be negative valued, right? And I could also change the bias and the weight themselves if I wanted to. Well, what am I going to do here? I'm going to increase the input. So fun. And then I'm going to change the bias. So 1 times 2 is 2 plus bias plus 2 equals 4. Can bring the weight down now. So input is 1. The weight is 2. The bias is still 2. If I change the weight, the formula would update correctly. Very cool. So now am I going to do that? Am I going to change the weight? Does it? Oh, I'm going to just change the input again. Wow. So maximum 2 times 2 plus 2 equals 6. Very cool demo. Alternatively, we can also bring the bias down to be negative, and then we can make suppress the values of the weight and the input. So there's this relationship, a linear relationship, some would say, between weight, input, and bias. Very cool. Okay, so now we saw that example, but you guys, you don't have, or y'all, you don't have this physical circuit to play around with. Let's go to gojustinangel.ai/neuralnet, and I built this demo that we're going to be working through in the next 6 sections. And then here we get to see the same thing. We have an input, a bias, and a weight. If and the input is 1, the weight is 1.5, and the bias is 2. The math is here in the bottom. 1.5 times 1 plus 2 equals 1.7. But if I bring the input down to a negative value, oh my God, the output also goes negative. Minus 1-ish times 1.5 plus 2 minus 1 and minus 1.2. Very cool to see. Minus 1.25. Very, very cool. So there's a lot of stuff we could do with that. We could play with the bias, bring that up or down. We could play with the weight, bring that up or down. And we could see how the values go negative or positive. Why did I say that perceptrons can't find edges? Is because we could just use that 0 as a point of reference for an edge. That's just a decision that I just made. Okay, great. So we can see an input is changeable, weight is changeable, bias is changeable. WX+B, weight times input plus bias. Very cool. Okay, so now we're going to go back here, and you really recommend it to try and play around with that demo a bit more. Let's see these examples both in Excel and then in code. So let's open up Excel. First thing I do is I make a copy. And we're going to go with without answer sheet. And let's see what is going to be our neuron output. So we have W of 1, X of 2, B of 3. Okay, kind of easy to do. W times X plus B. We talked about this formula a lot so far. Oh my God, the answer is 5. If I up the weight to 2, the answer is 7. If I up the weight to 100, it's 203. If I bring it down to negative, it's like 1. If I bring it down to really negative, because the bias is like bringing us up a bit, now it's really negative. Okay, cool. So we just saw a single perceptron in action. What if we have a bunch of single perceptrons? We're still not at a real group of perceptrons, but let's say we just have a bunch of perceptrons. Okay, so W times B times X plus B. So here I've hard-coded the W and B values, but I'm going to change the input. So we have 1 perceptrons, and we're going to just run a bunch of inputs through it. Okay, great. So one thing that I do have to do is I'm going to have to lock down the bias and weight column as cells, and I'm going to run through these. Great. So now we saw our 1 weight bias perceptron run through a bunch of different sequential inputs. So we could kind of see that these are the outcomes, and you could kind of tell there's a linear ratio here, linear in the sense that it kind of changes similarly. But if I plot that out, oh my God, it's saying now I have to create a graph. That's going to be fun for me. Let's create a graph. Insert chart. I'm going to now want a column chart. I'm going to want a line chart. Wow, isn't this really cool? I'm going to just leave that here for now. Isn't this, I'm going to make it a bit smaller so we can see all of it. So weight 1, bias 3. 3 ends up being where we intersect with the Y value, with the Y axis. We kind of plot out all of these on the Y column, all of the values in the Y column, and all of the X's on the X axis. But what does B actually do? Well, let's see if there's a bunch of X's, find X's in the base. Okay, so we set B to 0. Let's see what happens then. If we set B to 0, it's gonna our line's gonna intersect with Y at the 0 point, right? If I put it to 1, it's gonna intersect at 1, 2, 3. Wow, really cool. We get to see real live updates. What happens if I take weight negative? It's going to flip the line that we've got here. Very cool. We could change the direction of the line. What happens if it goes to very, very close to 0, but not 0? Oh my God, we got a horizontal line right? That almost completely horizontal line that still takes the input a little bit in because it's not perfectly zero. Very cool. So we learned a lot of very fun things when we did that. Now let's try and see if there's a landscape we could do here. So I'm going to fix the weight at 1, but I'm going to change the bias and I'm going to change the input. And let's see if there's some sort of like thing that I could do with that. So we said weight times input plus bias. Okay, so at input, I'm going to have to fix the column because I'm going to drag it down. And then at bias, I'm going to have to fix the row because I'm going to drag down as well. Did I just say something true? Let's see. What happens if I do that? That doesn't look true to me. I'm just going to copy my formula from here. It's going to make it easier for us to not make mistakes. Here we go. I'm going to drag this down here. I'm going to drag this down here. Now we have a bunch of these based on the bias and different inputs, fixed weight, 2 dimensions. So, but that's kind of hard for me to read. I don't really read a bunch of numbers. I'm going to do this one time and one time only with you. Conditional formatting, color scale. You could, because this goes down to the negative, we'll choose the red to green. Oh my God, we found that there's a little valley in the middle of this chart, right? There's like this little middle of this table. There's like this values around 0-ish. It's really nice to visualize with color schemes. Great. So if we also wanted to visualize with color, we only choose 2 colors, red and green. We could see there's a real edge, a real separator, a real classifier. Use whatever word appeals most to you right now at around the 0 mark, right? Because we said all the positives and 0 should be green and all of the red should be red. So we now have a little separation boundary here. Very cool. That is how perceptrons affect behavior. Like for example, positive values are gonna impact behavior in one way, negative values are gonna be in another way. We're gonna learn more about that when we get to activation functions. Cool, so we saw a little bit of Excel. Let's jump into coding. So we've already said you can connect to a GPU. Here, I actually don't think you're gonna need a GPU. You can just use a CPU and then you can click run all. So how do we implement WX+B? Well, one option is we just implement it in weight times input plus bias here in a function in Python. If you've never seen Python functions before, here's how a Python function looks like. And then we can, okay, we know we don't write code in functions. That's kind of weird. We're going to put it maybe in a class. So I'm going to have a class that takes in the weight and the bias because those are fixed, but then runs it multiple times with the activate function. Okay, great. So you should probably implement this fx equals wx+b somewhere here. Not super hard to do, but I'm going to leave that as an exercise for you. If you want to see the answer, you do have the answer here in the base under show code. I'm not going to show it to you right now because you already know it's weight times input plus bias. Maybe you have to add the word self once or twice. Okay, great. So you can go ahead and do that yourselves. Once we did that, you can call the Perceptron class 10 times in a row with different inputs. So this range is just going to generate between -5 and 5. And then I'm going to say here, I'm going to call my Perceptron.activate with this value I. Just change the number 42 to something else. If you need the answer, it's below. But when I run it, the answer that is, I see for input -5, I get -2. For an input of -4, I get an output of 1, right? That's for the Perceptron we initialized a moment ago with the values of weight 1, bias 3. Okay, so we just did this in Excel. You kind of know what's going to come up next. It's going to just be a line chart. Oh my goodness. If the bias is 3, it intersects the y-axis at 3. And if the weight is 1, it's going to be a perfectly linear line where for every point we increase, it's going to change. Play around with these weight values, play around with these bias values, generate a bunch of charts. It's going to help you build a lot of intuition. Why? Because these charts are going to build something called a landscape, and we're going to see these landscapes pretty soon. That's about section 7, I think. Great. So what did we see here in Perceptron land? We saw that there's a math formula for a perceptron, and it holds information and influences behavior, and we saw the math for that. We then saw a fun metaphor, which is building a circuit. Then we saw a video of me building my own circuit because I apparently have so much free time. And then we saw you having a demo that you could basically play with something very similar to this physical perceptron. I'm going to show you the physical perceptron one more time. Oh my goodness. Those two things kind of look pretty similar. Then we saw code Excel example of working with the WX+B formula. And then finally, we saw code of working with WX+B. You might be wondering, surely there's a platform or a framework out there that implements perceptrons. Yes, there is. We're going to see that next. We're not going to see that right away. We're going to see that when we get to PyTorch. Great. When are we going to get to PyTorch? In section 4, activation functions. We're going to talk a lot about that when we get to activation functions. Why do we need activation functions on perceptrons? Because they're not great at finding edges. We kind of had to falsify that the 0 is an edge, but then it's very linear and it's not super easy to use. Maybe we'll see more about that when we get to section 4, activation functions. I'll see you then. Thank you.